be telling a scary story because I have the shadow and the light.
You do. Ooh, it's a great silhouette you just got of yourself.
I've
All
had
right, guys. Welcome to season 2 of The Next Great Read. This is so exciting. I am Kerri Harris from Hillwood Middle School and Keller ISD, and I am so excited to be back live this summer.
Hey, I'm Lauren Stutler. I'm the librarian at Keller High School, and I am way excited to be starting talking about some teen books and diving in. What can we get ourselves into here this summer?
And I'm Misty Shea, former librarian, but YA enthusiast for life. And obviously I can't talk, so that's going to be even more fun for tonight. So we are really excited. I'm super happy that these ladies, librarians still let me play in the sandbox, even though I've been kicked out on the island. So we'll see. It'll be awesome.
And we have Audrey Wilson Youngblood in the background running the chat for us. Audrey, would you like to share how they can participate in the chat?
Sure. Make sure you're signed into your Google account. Click on your profile button to check that you're signed in, and then you should be able to participate in the chat.
Thank you. Awesome. We love having Audrey running the show for us so that we can focus on the books and all the fun stuff that goes with that. So let me share my screen here and we can get started. This is our new logo. We're really excited about this one. All the great neon stuff. And of course, we've got to have our Bitmojis. I mean, like, who doesn't put Bitmojis in their presentations these days? So you'll have lots of Bitmojis this summer with us. We'll find some ways to share some fun ones. We are excited because this summer we have some great themes for you. I don't know if you were part of this last summer, but we mostly did genres. We didn't do a lot of other themes. We did genres. And so this summer we have some theme nights. But before we get started, if you are live with us, go ahead and go into the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from. If you are a student, what grade you're in. If you are an adult, tell us, are you a teacher, a librarian? Are you just here for the fun? Ladies, do you have anything to say before we get started?
I'd love to know who's joining us new this year and who's coming back. I'd love to know that.
I see Madison in the chat. Super excited.
I'm excited. I can't see the chat while I'm running the show, and I need to get 2 computers going so I can watch the chat too. I might get distracted. Maybe next time I'll do that.
We have Madison from Hillwood.
All right. It's probably Madison Leva. She was one of my stars today on my book fix presentation.
It is.
And
Colby, Diana.
Maybe.
Yes, it's Diana Colby.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go and get started. Tonight's theme is we are on a break. It's summer break, guys, and I don't know if you are the same way I am, but I like to read a whole lot of YA, like the stuff that I need to read to go in the library, but sometimes I just need a break from what I would normally do, and this is the night that we're going to talk about some of these books. At least for me, that's how it ended up being. How did you guys choose your books?
Basically the same. Like, we're on different committees throughout the year, or a student says, hey, I want you to read this, and you're focused more on what everybody else needs you to read. But finally, when summer hits, you're like, oh, now I can finally read this book that I've been wanting to read. So that's what I did.
All right, well, that's what our theme is tonight. And let's see who we have up first. We have Misty up first. So Misty, tell us about this book. It looks really cool.
It's awesome. It came out last year, but then the sequel, Namesake, came out this year. And so I really wanted to talk about it. I mean, it's like a pirate movie without the pirates. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I mean, they're on the sea. It starts out with this girl named Fable, and we find out that her father abandoned her on an island of cutthroats and thieves and said, hey, if you can make it out alive and come find me again, I'll give you what you deserve. And so she spent the last 4 years like starving and trying to survive and figure out her place in the world. And she finally can make it to her dad, but a lot of things happen on the way. She meets a ship full of just a motley crew. It's funny, but not funny. With Captain West, and just all the things that can happen. But it's a really awesome story if you're really into a sea adventure, or if you're just looking for something new. I feel like it didn't have all the typical YA stuff, so I really enjoyed going through it, and I really can't wait to read the second book, Namesake. So my hashtags were hashtag survival, hashtag hi C, hashtag captain my captain. I'll leave that with you. And then hashtag my place.
Can I just love how much your Bitmoji is on a lobster?
I know. Okay, so when I was searching, I was just like, I need something steep. I wanted like a pirate, but no, the lobster. So why not?
We're on a break.
We were on a break.
I don't have to say the cover of this book is really cool. I like all the freckles on her face.
Oh my gosh,
so cool.
Namesake, it's the other side of her face.
Oh, wow.
So you put the two books next to each other, you'll have to Google it. It is like, see, I got goosebumps. It's cool.
I read that one last year, I remember, and it was really fun to read through. It's, I don't know, it's just, you kept waiting to see what else was going to happen, and then she'd throw in, oh, but then they have to go here. I'm like, wait, what? But we were going, okay. I want to know.
Or this was her purpose, but now this is her purpose. Like, what's your purpose? Where's your place? So.
That's cool. I'm going to try this one. I was telling Lauren earlier today that I get such great ideas just listening to y'all talk about books, and I want to read all the ones you've talked about, but then that means I'm reading books that we've already talked about and I can't talk about. So,
but we're on a break.
I can see what I want.
I know, but my brain doesn't work that fast. Maybe I'll listen to one on audio and I'll read the other ones. I'll find a way because this one sounds good.
It's really good. It's a great high sea adventure.
I picked books that I normally wouldn't read at all. And this is considered to be an adult book. It is popular in the high schools, I believe. But as a middle school librarian, I don't usually buy a lot of books that are deemed as adult rather than YA, just because of the age level in the library. So I don't normally read adult books, but I have been hearing about this one as a dystopian / apocalyptic. I would probably put it more on the apocalyptic side, but that's just my definition of it. But anyway, it is set in my review that I wrote on Goodreads, basically said I shouldn't have read this during our COVID struggles because it was just a little too real, but it was really, really good. So it starts off with an actor. It's actually a famous Hollywood actor who is, famous in the book, not like in real life. A famous Hollywood actor who is portraying King Lear on stage. And he's in the middle of, the thing that is the King Lear production. And in the audience is another character who happens to be an EMT. Well, the man playing King Lear collapses on stage. He's having a heart attack. They quickly draw the curtains, and the EMT guy goes running up on stage behind the curtains and finds the actor's already dead. But he tried to save him, and he starts kind of seeing around him like all the background of, one of the little girls who's playing the children in the scene and all these people, and they're all upset. And that's how it starts. And it shows him like, okay, well, I guess I better go now. I can't do anything because the ambulance has arrived, everything's moving on. By the time he gets out into the public and starts going home, things are going a bit crazy. What happens within the next few days, as far as timeline goes in the book, is the flu, but it's more than the flu, has hit. And it is basically one of those apocalyptic type things where everyone, no one's surviving. And so the book takes place with a lot of flashbacks. So we are then sent into 15 years in the future, and we meet a character, and you're like, okay, how does this character go with what was happening where I just read? And then it flashes back to before the flu and the sickness started, and you start to get to know this Hollywood actor before he was famous. You get to know his first ex-wife. And then it flashes forward with this young girl who's with this traveling group of actors, and you start to get a sense that there's some kind of connection. But the girl is living in a world that, to me, as it says here, hashtag The Walking Dead, or not hashtag, but it's like The Walking Dead minus the walkers, because there's no zombies in this book, but it's that same feeling, that same setting of just there's nothing left. And the people are the ones who you have to look out for. It's not monsters, it's not zombies, it's just people who are trying to survive, and they're not always the nicest person. So this goes back and forth between present day, as in where they're living after the sickness has killed so many people, to the past where we get to know all these characters. And at first you're like, I don't know how it's going to work, and then all of a sudden it's like they all explode, and they don't really explode. It explodes in my mind, because they all have a connection. And I love it when it's like, whoa, it's a connection. I was waiting for that all along. Those are my favorite things. And that's what happens in this book. So my Netflix shows that you could pair this with basically are all shows that are similar to this, except it's like The Quiet Place without the aliens, or Cloverfield without the aliens, and Snowpiercer without the train in the snow.
Or Bird Box. I thought of Bird Box while you were saying this.
Yes, without the crazy weird monster that's in Bird Box, right? Was there a monster? I don't remember.
We don't know.
That's true.
It's very M. Night Shyamalan.
It is like all of those things, but don't go into it thinking it's a zombie novel or anything like that. And it really truly, other than the fact that it's an illness that they're saying is like the flu, there's no correlation to what was happening with COVID other than that little in your head going, oh, that's the only thing that I connected it to. It was just quite fascinating to see how the author connected everybody at the end. I loved it.
Audrey weighed in and said, OMG, this book is amazing, Kerri. Seriously.
It is. I'm really proud of myself for actually reading it.
That sounds amazing to me. That sounds like something I would definitely read. That's exciting.
Well, I will tell you this much. You know how in YA it's pretty fast paced at the beginning, like boy, it gets their attention and it goes. Mm-hmm. And because this is considered an adult novel, I see it playing out quite differently. It's a lot slower paced narration, and it's not to the point where you're bored, because you're really absorbing all of this narration to figure out who's with who and how did this go together. But it is a very different pace than the typical YA. So if any students decide they wanted to pick this up and try it, just be aware it doesn't start like in the middle of all the action like a lot of YA books do these days. So anyway, it was really good. I surprised myself with how much I liked it.
Ooh, okay. The follower. So think of social media. We're talking about that kind of follower. So the main characters that follows triplets. It's 2 girls and a boy, and they are Insta famous. They're all over the gram, and their parents have kind of hopped in on it too. Their parents do house flips, and the kids, they each have their own niche. Like one is a makeup artist and does all these videos, and another's fashion. The guy does workouts and stuff, but their parents have kind of hijacked their Instagram stuff and made them do house flipping stuff with them, because you find out that they are having some money issues. And so they're really in it for the sponsors. They need the sponsors. And so they've got all these followers. They're getting close to 1 million, and the parents have bought this new house that they're going to go and flip, and it's a bit of a fixer upper, more than the family knew it was, minus the dad, because again, money issues. And so they get to this house, and now all of a sudden they have a new follower on Instagram, and this person, their name is Alex Grable, which you find out very early on is the name of the person who supposedly murdered her mom and then jumped out of the window and committed suicide in this house. And so for that to be the name of the follower, like, it was a really creepy thing that was happening. And they were trying to figure out what's going on. And the longer they're in this house, the more and more bad things really start to escalate. And we're talking really dangerous, life-threatening type of things that are happening here. This one is kind of, it has some fun medium parts in it where you're seeing like bits and pieces of what's going on Instagram. I don't know if you can see that very well, but nope, not really. Okay. So you're reading some of the messages on Instagram and whatnot. And so you're getting to see it from the triplet side, and as well as some of what's going on in the Instagram world. And the narration, that each chapter, it follows a different triplet. So you're getting to kind of see what it's like through all of their lenses and how that's kind of affecting them in each step, because things start to change with what they're able to then do on Instagram. So there's a lot of pressure in this book on the way that they are. And I think a lot of our students would really get into this even more than adults probably would, because it is talking a lot about Instagram and people being Instagram famous and people that are being followed and doing all of the videos and things going viral and constantly checking and needing that that need of finding all the likes and stuff like that. So this one was interesting. It makes you want to almost think haunted house, but it's more realistic than that. You know that there is someone bad and there are some really horrible things going on. It was really creepy. One you didn't want to be like in the house alone reading at night.
I like your hashtag red rum.
Okay, I was wondering who was going to pick that up.
That's the creepiest word ever. Once you watch that movie, you can't unsee it or unhear it said that particular way.
You have to say it in that weird little voice with your finger. Oh, I'm so glad somebody picked up on that.
Oh, that looks good. That looks really good. Okay. I'm gonna put it on a list. I will read it when yes. Okay.
I'm not reading it. It's too scary.
Oh, whatever.
No, because I'm Instagram famous. And what if someone does that to me? No way.
I could never say that about myself. I'm infamous. I'm not famous.
Oh, that's what I meant. Infamous.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Your Bitmoji.
I swear, I spent a long time really thinking about the best Bitmojis for this. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so all of my friends, I remember, I'm not going to age myself, but I remember pouring through Twilight. I don't care that it was not the best literary novel of the century. I don't know, but I read number 1 and then number 2, and I couldn't make out, and then number 3. And I'm not saying this book is Twilight, because it's actually not. A lot of people are hating on it, like, oh my gosh, this is just remade Twilight. Actually, it's not. If you kind of get into the first book and get past like the first couple chapters, you realize very quickly it's a completely different world. Yes, there's a main guy character. Yes, there's a main girl character. One's a vampire, one's a human, but it kind of ends there. A lot of the similarities. So this book really, it was almost like, so my Netflix pairing kind of explains the book, because it really is a mixture of Twilight, Legacies, if you haven't seen that on Netflix or the CW or whatever, the Freeform, whatever they're calling it these days, Supernaturals and Vampire Diaries. It has a combination of all the coolest monsters / paranormal creatures you could even imagine.
Does it have Sam Dean Winchester?
No, but I really wish it did.
Okay.
So the main characters are the most powerful vampire of all time, who is also a vampire prince. And then this girl who gets taken to this academy because her parents died, and her uncle runs this academy. So she goes thinking it's just another academy. Well, she finds out that everybody there is a supernatural being, and she's not. And then all these bad things start happening to her over and over again. And she's like, oh my gosh. And of course, you know, the brooding vampire who's like, don't come near me. And then of course he's like, come near me. We're in love. It's just awesome. But there are dragons, there are witches, there are vampires, there are werewolves, there are warlocks. Oh my gosh, guys, just because my librarian heart, this author talks up a librarian like that. There are a couple of huge scenes where the librarian is pivotal, and the library. I'm just like, yes. So, but I mean, obviously this author's a bibliophile, because she talks it up and talks about the main character being a reader. But I love the plot twist, and I actually am in the middle of book 2, and the plot twist of book 2 is even better, and I'm really enjoying it.
You know what probably
all the
really makes
Goodreads things, because when I went to go type my Goodreads, it's just such a Twilight knockoff. It really is not. It seriously is its own book. Yes, I can see kind of some of the things, but it really is not the same thing at all.
I think
it's kind of all of those put together.
It's the cover. I mean, obviously, there's other things that make it sound and look alike, but look at the cover. Isn't that kind of like the same color-ish scheme that Twilight did?
I bet she did it for marketing. You
know, I totally agree.
The other books have look nothing like because you know, in Twilight they kept the same theme throughout they were all black with some kind of white, and the rest of the covers are all different. So it's just funny, but I mean, it's seriously like, and maybe she played up that hat and people are reading it because they think it's like Twilight. But if you're really craving another vampire,
I
think she's up to 5. I think she's up to 5 books now. But oh my gosh, I like it. Like, I'm ready. Like book 2, I'm really enjoying now.
You said crave. Yes. And who cares if it's like Twilight? I mean, I will tell you right now, I read, wait for it, every single one of the Twilight books.
Oh, Kerri Harris does not read series. She doesn't have series.
Well, but here's the deal. That was before I became a true YA snob. And I was reading them all back then. And then I got like, oh my God, I got to read them all. And so I couldn't read all the series, but this one I did. And it was just pure, great, cheesy wonderfulness as far as Twilight goes. So I want to read this. I don't care if it's like Twilight. I think I want to read it anyway.
I just love that she threw in all the other beings. Like I love the dragons and gargoyles and just any creature. They talk about everything that everyone always wants to happen, like pixies, and it's just cool. And she does it well. She doesn't just throw it in like, oh, and here's a little pixie because she's going to do this for the story, but not really. So I love it.
Well, the fact that you said it was like Supernatural, I watched all 13, 14 seasons of Supernatural and cried on the last episode of the finale. So I'm going to pick this up just because of that. All right. This one, quite a different one than what Misty was just talking about. Again, being on a break, I'm not also someone who likes to read a lot of romances. But this one, I was on NetGalley. Hashtag, y'all need to find out about NetGalley if you don't know about it. Because librarians can get some free ARCs if you go in and request. You do have to be pretty popular on social, not popular. You have to be someone who reviews a lot on social media because they do check. They want to make sure you're out there talking about the books that are about to come out because NetGalley are all advanced reader copies. So I got a copy of this. I mean, Nicola Yoon, of course I had to try it. I will say, honestly, her other two books, The Sun Is Also a Star and Everything I liked, but it wasn't like, this is the greatest book I've ever read. So, but I wanted to try Instructions for Dancing. So this one is so cute. At the beginning of the book, we find out that the main character, Evie, she finds out that her father has had an affair. And she always thought that her mother and her father's marriage was like the perfect, most wonderful, loving relationship. And then she finds out it isn't. And then she decides, I am done with romance. Romance is not for me. Apparently, even the most perfect romances don't work. I'm through. So she goes to her bookshelf and she clears her shelf of all the romances, the little paperbacks that she had. And she walks to a place where she knows there's like a little free library, you know, the little houses that have library exchange you can put books in. She's like, I'm giving them all away. I'm done with romance. When she gets there, there's this like kind of like out of the blue, this little old woman just kind of appears, like she turns around and she's there. And she's like, oh, hi, what are you doing? She's like, I'm giving away my romance books. And she goes, oh, you should try this. And she hands her this book. It's called Instructions for Dancing. Not this book that you see on the screen, but it's like an instruction book for ballroom dancing. It's like real old fashioned looking and stuff. She's like, oh yeah, thanks. And the lady's like, you should try it. She's like, okay, sure, fine. And she starts to walk away and she looks back to say something and the lady's gone. So she's like, well, that was weird. So she looks inside the book. She's kind of paging through it and she sees it says it's property of, I think it's called the La Brea Dance Studio or something like that. She's like, well, at the very least, I'm just going to return it to its owner because I'm not going to read this. So she takes it there. Well, she goes home first, but when she's going home, she sees her sister. This is all at the very beginning of the book. I know this sounds like a lot, but it's all at the beginning. She walks home and she sees her sister sitting on the front steps. They live in an inner city area. Her sister's sitting on the front steps with her boyfriend, who she doesn't like. Evie does not like her sister's boyfriend. And they lean in for a kiss and boom, Evie has this vision and she sees the day that they met. She sees them kissing on the stoop and she sees how they break up at the end in the future. And she's like, well, that was weird. I don't understand what that was. Maybe I'm hallucinating or whatever. So anyway, she goes inside. She doesn't tell anybody. The next day she goes to take this book back. She meets the dance instructor. They're all real eccentric and cute and fun. Of course, she meets a guy, but she also she notices things as she's going through her day. Every time she sees someone kiss, she sees how their relationship is going to end. And so it's just more proof in her mind. Yeah, all romance ends. They always break up. It's always a horrible ending. She's literally seeing their future and she hates it / loves it because she can see, people she knows, but then it gets to the point where like everybody she sees kissing, she gets to where she's like, doesn't even look up. When she knows they're going to kiss, she doesn't look up anymore. So that's a side story And then the main story is her going back and forth to this dance academy. And the guy, of course, the hot guy that sees her, he's the son, I believe, or the grandson of the owners. And he needs a partner. His partner just quit. They've got to go to this ballroom dancing competition. And she's like, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, I'll teach you. And she's like, okay, but I hate romance, but you're really cute, but I don't know. So that's kind of the storyline. It's very cute. I love the whole element of she can see into their futures. It really starts to come into fruition with like all the people she starts to see, and then you start to see how the stories are going to play out, and you want them to, and then you don't want them to play out that way. So you're like, maybe it's not real, maybe she's not really seeing it. Oh, but she is. And so there's just some really cool romance aspects with that, and I think that's why I liked it so much, because it wasn't your typical cheesy romance. There is some cheese in it. It's not bad cheese, but it's really cute. But I like that whole element of being able to see into the future. So I did put some hashtags on there, like, romance always ends, just say no, because apparently the guy that's there, he's always like, yeah, let's do it. And she's always like, no, she's like a realist, and she doesn't want to do any of it. And the end is just the beginning. That's kind of a shout out to Fear the Walking Dead. I've been watching that a lot lately too. That's a theme that's coming up on that a lot, but it works for this one too. So anyway, not the Walking Dead part, but the end is just the beginning. So I'm sorry. I like to watch apocalyptic stuff. So when I read romances, sometimes it gets a little confusing.
I hear you. I kind of have the same attitude. In fact, this reminds me of doing book spine poetry when we do this project at school. You stack all the books and you read the titles on the spines to make a poem. And I do a romance example, because the kids are like, oh, but I do mine like, oh, meet cute and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like death, despair, epic fail. Well, that was awkward. And I'm like, are you going to do a romance poem? They're like, wait, what?
And they can all relate, I'm sure.
Okay. I said, mine's realistic. It's cool.
Well, it's a Nickelodeon hit for sure. I think the kids will like it. It has come out since I read it, and I do highly recommend it. It was fun to take a break from all that death and despair that I read about with dystopia and apocalypses and stuff, and just watch this cute little romance play out.
Well, and I love that her and her husband are a book couple. Oh my gosh. That just makes me super happy.
All right, so I'm going to shoot us in a completely different direction again. I am reading Firekeeper's Daughter, and let me tell you, I don't know why I picked this one up. There's something about, I kept seeing this cover, kept seeing the name of this book, and I'm like, I have this gut feeling that I just need to read this. Like, this is going to be something big, and I just need to read it. Y'all, this book is so good. So the quote up there that I got, Indigenous Nancy Drew, that is not mine. That was from the author. That was her take on it. And I was like, Nancy Drew's a really like throwback goody good. Our main character is not. So it's a mystery. So for me, The Firekeeper's Daughter, I had it in my head like this is gonna be like a fantasy book, and it's not at all. It's a thriller mystery, which I also love too. So our main character, she is half white, half Ojibwe, which is a Native American. They're up in the very northern part of Michigan at like Superior. So it's talking back and forth about being on the very northern border, and they're talking about going back and forth to Canada a lot. And yes, they do say hey a lot at the ends of sentences. I'm listening to it, and they're like, oh, did you catch that hockey game? Hey, and I'm like, ah. But they say it with an H. I did not expect that, but that's cool. So yeah, there is hockey. There's the very things that you think of when we're up there, you're like snow, it's cold, but actually it takes place in summer, so it's not too bad. But so the main character, you find out a lot about this tribe and some of the teachings and a lot of the different words, some of the prayers and things that they do. But then it's also, she doesn't feel like she completely fits in with that world because she also has her white side, and it's complicated too. She's not a member yet of the tribe because of the complications with her parents when she was growing up. And so there's a lot of background pieces in here. But the main story is that her uncle that she's very close to dies, and he dies, and it shows that he had been, like, he relapsed with drugs, and that was really upsetting to her, and she was very angry knowing that. Well, then at a party or something, like they're at a hockey party, and someone's like, hey, this is a new guy, Jamie, you're going to be his mentor. And she's like, okay. They're like, hey, by the way, you should talk to him. She's like, he has a girlfriend. She's like, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to be that person. And she's not. But what she does find out is that he's actually an undercover FBI agent, and he's posing as a high school senior. She's actually already graduated. She's almost 19. And so she's beginning of starting college. But he ends up not being a high school senior, and he's undercover for FBI. And what she then starts to uncover are things that she finds out that her uncle was actually their informant, and he was helping. And she decides to then become that informant as well, pick up where he left off, because she's very, very concerned about what is happening with her friends and her tribe. What you find out is they are trying to uncover this big meth ring. And so that is really all the stuff is coming out. There are people, she witnesses a murder, and it becomes a part of this whole thing that they're trying to uncover. And it is so very complex in very different ways, but it all comes together beautifully. And so that's why I said it pairs with, I said The Naturals, because I mean, that was just kind of like what my book thoughts went to. But when I'm talking about shows, I thought it's kind of like Yellowstone meets Breaking Bad. Even though those are very adult shows, this is not like super, super adult, but you find out a lot about the tribe, you learn a lot about the people, but then also you're busting up a meth ring here, and there's some really bad things going on. And also the show, my sister told me about the show Longmire, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put that on there too. So, oh my gosh, y'all, there's so much going on with this one, but
I love it that it looks like a fantasy novel, and it's not.
It does, it really does, but it's not in the least.
It's definitely a don't judge a book by its cover kind of a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I bought it because of its cover.
Did you?
I actually bought it because of its cover, because it looked really awesome, and it was on Barnes and Noble's like, hey, read me, I'm new and upcoming. And actually, it's like hitting the top of the charts for everything. Like, it's like the #1 book of 2021 so far. And so it's on every list right now.
This is a debut author. Like, this is a debut YA novel, and the Obamas have a production company, I guess, and so they've already picked it up. It's going to be a Netflix series. Like, it's already like exploding big. So I don't know why I went with my gut on this one, but it was totally worth reading.
It's a good gut reflex right there.
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me. Crave was picked up by Universal, so there's gonna be a movie. So, sorry.
No.
You know, you notice all the movies that are coming out, well, so many of them, not all of them, are based on YA novels. That's because YA novels rock. I mean, that's why I don't read anything else. That's why I'm a snob. So I have something. What?
I changed my title from YA enthusiast to YA snob. Thank you, Kerri.
It's snob. That's what I am. I'm going to change mine. So you're going to be copying me. I won't be copying you.
Okay.
I want to do something different tonight, ladies. And this, I'm kind of throwing it at you last minute, probably, but I want to do I'm going to go back to the book I want to talk about. I want to do a would you rather on this book. Okay. So this is to Lauren and Misty, and anybody out there in the chat world that wants to play along. Would you rather know how a relationship is going to end, or not know it at all and just because then you're going to know and it's going to play out a certain way? Or would you rather just not know anything about any relationships? And I'm talking about like all relationships, just like what she's experiencing.
Not know. Mm-mm. I would sit there and second guess everything up until I led it to that end, just because I kept questioning everything. I'd be overanalyzing. No, that would be torturous. I'm out.
When I took SAT prep, they said my gut feeling, the very first thing. So I'm going to go with not knowing. Ignorance is bliss.
I think I'm the same way. I don't know. Maybe I want to know how other relationships end, but not my own.
So it's entertaining.
Oh,
Maybe. Then I can go over to my friends and go, he's not the guy for you. No, really, trust me on this. Like,
But you say that about all of them.
they can't know that I have this ability, but they can trust me as a friend and go, oh, okay. And then they'll never be heartbroken. See? All right, fine, whatever.
okay. My turn.
Okay. Which book?
Would you rather date a dragon, a werewolf, or a vampire? None of them are going to kill you. They're all extremely dripping with awesome, which they all are in this book. She makes a joke like every guy in this school was, picked out of, top 10 guys in the whole wide world.
So the dragon, it has a human form?
Yeah, so I'm like,
Yes, they all have human forms.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with dragon.
I think so too. I've already seen the whole Team Edward, Team Jacob thing play.
But the dragon, I can, when he turns into a dragon, I can get on his back and fly around.
Oh my gosh. Spoiler for book 2. No, I honestly, it was hard. It's hard. I still can't choose. I'm going to get through the series and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, but he's so cool. Oh my gosh, but I like him too. Or, oh, why is she with him? So it's bad.
Can I pick human? That's just all weird.
No. That's not the point of Would You Rather.
All right.
Oh, you're so boring.
Dragon.
Dragon. All right. Come on, Lauren.
What's yours, Lauren?
All right, give one from your book.
That one?
Yeah. Would you rather be in a house with someone who is crazy or in a legit haunted house?
Legit. Because they're not real.
Supposing that it was.
But like haunting, like they're not like they can't hurt me. They can just scare me.
What if they were like, what if
haven't you seen
possessed?
Haven't you seen The Shining? They can hurt you.
And there's possessions and all sorts of stuff.
I choose the ghost. I'd rather have a ghost because at least I can kind of commiserate with them. They're probably haunting the place for a good reason. Crazy people, there's no telling.
Yeah, no, I can't deal with crazy. No.
Are you sure, Kerri?
I'm telling you, I'm not going to give away too much of my past, but crazy is not something I want to deal with.
I hear a book coming.
Right. No.
Oh, fun fact about Firekeeper's Daughter. I was reading this article that about the author was talking about, and apparently the book idea actually came. She is half white, half Ojibwe, and when she was 16, her friends were like, "Hey, this guy at this other high school, you should go on a date with him." And she found out he was actually a narc. And so the book came out. It was like, what if I had actually gone on a date with him? What would have happened? And that's how that story became about. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. I've had fun. This has been fun.
This is great. No, and I already bought Firekeeper's Daughter, so I guess what my next read is going to be.
It's so good. So good. Unexpected. It really was.
Misty,
I want to know if there was anything. I was going to say, if there's anything in the chat that anybody has any questions or suggestions or
well, we were talking to Madison about anime and manga, and then I think she had to leave the chat, so we can't talk to her anymore. But she was our big participant there in the chat. She wanted to know about. She said that she couldn't have chosen somebody, a dragon or whatever. She would rather have chosen a fictional character. So yeah, but. Anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed this. If you have anything to add real quickly in the chat, do that. I'm kind of watching it off to the side there. But yeah, we've had fun. We have a theme for next week, but we can't share it yet because it all depends on whether or not an author is going to join us next week. He has explained that there may be a family vacation that gets in the way, but he's going to try to join us next week. Should I say who it is, ladies?
No, not until it's 100%.
Okay, well, he's going to be here eventually this summer, but we're hoping it's next week. And so if he's here, we have one theme, and if he's not, we'll have a different theme. But we have some fun themes this year. We're going to do some audiobook nights. We're going to do, what are some of the other ones we have on that? We have a manga theme one night.
Out of This World.
Summer Fling, is that another one?
Oh yeah.
So we have some ideas, and we might do one. We haven't talked about this. Here I go off script again. But we might do something that are food related books. I'm just saying, because I kind of got off on that today in one of our sessions, and it was kind of fun to talk about. So
you had me at food.
right. So yeah, we got to figure out a way to work that one in. But anyway, yes, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have some fun this summer. We are going to be out there. I'm going to get to the last slide here. It is every Tuesday at 8:00 Central Standard Time. And we hope that you join us next week. We're really excited. And yeah, have a great week. Happy reading.